Welcome to the Hundredfold Journey. We help people step out of religious bondage and into true abundance. We invite you to embark on a journey, a spiritual journey called the Hundredfold. At a Hundredfold, we are a group of people developing new thoughts, habits, and beliefs to understand our true identity, to live our life purpose and experience the abundant life just the way Jesus did. Our mission is to provide support, encouragement, and resources to help you on your journey. The life you are meant to live is closer than you think. The journey is the destination, and your journey starts now. Good morning, Doug here from the Hundredfold Journey. Thanks again for joining us on this Grace Awakening Network program. We're on a journey with you to help you to know your true identity, live your life purpose, and experience true abundance. Because a Hundredfold is about a group of people who are looking to find their true identity, and by doing so, finding God's true identity. So thanks for joining us today. We are in a series called I Am the Dwelling Place of God. And this is the tabernacle in the Old Testament where the children of Israel were walking through the desert for 40 years. And the portable tabernacle is a perfect representation of us. And if you've been with us each week, I've been showing how each of the pieces of furniture that are within that tabernacle are a representation of who we are. And our key verses for this study is 1 Corinthians 3:16. You are God's temple, and God's Spirit dwells in you, lives in us. And John 17:22, I've given them the glory you gave me, that they may be one as we are one. Jesus is declaring that we are one, and that's who we are, and that's because we are the dwelling place of God. Here's a picture of what that dwelling place looks like, and if you overlay the human body over the tabernacle, you can see that there's three sections within the tabernacle: the outer court, the tent of meeting, and the Holy of Holies. And you'll see there's 7 pieces of furniture in there, and you'll see that they all represent different areas and aspects of us as being the temple. And today we're going to be talking about the mercy seat. And the mercy seat in the Holy of Holies, even though there's only a picture of one item in there, there are actually 2. There's the Ark of the Covenant, and then there's the mercy seat, which sits on top of it. And this is the pinnacle, if you will, of God's creation, which, by the way, is right here. It's within our mind. It's between the 2 cherub, and we'll get into exactly what that represents for us shortly. This also represents the chakra body. Each of the chakra cells are energy sections within our body. And there's, in the Eastern culture, they talk about the root chakra, the sacral chakra, etc. But you'll notice that they all line up perfectly within the temple body. And today we're going to be talking about the crown chakra, which is the mercy seat, which is the pinnacle of God's creation. One thing that I've been doing each week is talking about the amazing sevens, how everything synchronistically has lined up, like the 7 days of the week, the 7 words of creation, which is beginning, created gods, hyphen, which is Christ, heaven and earth. So earth is the crown, which is spirituality, thought, which is also the mercy seat, which is the pinnacle, again, of God's creation. It's the crown, it's the power, it's the glory that he has given us, which is the earth, which is us. Now, let's talk about the crown chakra. So the crown chakra is, again, up here, and it talks about thought. It's the connection to your divine purpose and spirituality. The crown chakra, also known as, and I won't pronounce it, Sahasrara, is also called the crown because it's located at the very top of the head where a crown would rest. Being one with Christ and his Spirit, this allows our spiritual eyes to see. So again, the crown is right around the top of our head, around our forehead. The name reflects its role as the crowning point of the human energy system, linking the physical body and the lower chakras to the spiritual realm, physical and spiritual. It's often associated with the enlightenment, self-realization, and unity with Christ. The imagery of a crown also conveys its significance as the pinnacle of spiritual achievement and wisdom. This is our true identity. Now, as we've been talking about each week, each of these energy centers have can be demonstrated whether they are blocked or overactive or balanced. So when we look at our lives, we can see how our crown chakra is manifesting. So if it's blocked, then will tend to be more depressed, learning difficulties, weak faith, anger at God. If it's overactive, then it's dogmatic. It's got to be a certain way. It's judgmental. It's addicted. It's ungrounded. But the balance of the crown chakra reveals itself in such a way that you have a strong faith, universal love, intelligent, aware, wise, and with understanding. And then some physical problems that may come out as neurological, headaches, nerve pain, psychological disorders, Alzheimer's, insomnia. All right, so that's demonstrating the crown chakra. Now let's see how this plays out inside the tabernacle and inside of us. This is a side view of the tabernacle, and what we've been doing is working right to left, east to west, and you'll see the different pieces of furniture, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart chakra, the throat, the third eye, which is what we covered last week, and then the crown. And notice the diagram of the arrows. This is a picture of the cross, and this is the way the furniture is laid out inside the tabernacle. You can imagine that's the cross where Jesus Christ was crucified on the cross. And again, if you overlay that on top of the tabernacle, it plays out perfectly. Here's another view of the tabernacle, and what's interesting about this is wood overladen with pure gold. And wood represents man, and gold represents God. So it's 100% God and 100% man. That's what's represented here in this tabernacle. Again, that's who we are. Now, the location of the mercy seat, going back a slide, you'll see that there's three. There's an outer court, inner court, and the Holy of Holies. Between the inner court and the Holy of Holies, there was this veil, a very thick veil, that basically was in pure darkness behind that curtain. There was no light that could come in. And that's the veil, kind of what it looks like here. And that is the same veil that when Jesus died on the cross, and he cried out again with a deep voice and yielded up his spirit, then behold, the veil of the temple was torn from the top to the bottom. And Jesus said, "It is finished." So that's the temple veil that was split, and it's been open ever since. It's so the Holy of Holies, the Ark of the Covenant, the mercy seat has all been revealed in us, right? So that veil has been split. And here's another view of it. So there's the location is behind that veil. And then you can see now the two pieces. There's the mercy seat, which sits on top of the Ark of the Covenant. And this is where once a year, when they did Yom Kippur, I believe, they would have the blood that would be on top of the mercy seat. And then the cherub are overseeing that and protecting it. And then one last look of the mercy seat and the different features. Again, you've got the ark, which the mercy seat is sitting on top of. And there's the crown, right? The crown chakra is part of the mercy seat. And then you have the two cherubs and then the poles that are within it. All right, so now let's describe what this mercy seat, how it's made. And in Exodus 25, we see that the ark's cover, which is called the place of atonement, from pure gold. So what's important here is this is not wood overladen with gold. It is pure gold. It's one solid piece of gold that was 45 inches long and 27 inches wide. Then make two cherub from hammered gold and place them on the two ends of the atonement, right? So you saw that picture. Mold the cherub on each end of the atonement cover, making it all one piece of gold. The cherub will face each other and look down at the atonement cover with their wings spread above it. They will protect it. And then place the ark and the stone of the tablet. So there were three things in there: the stones, which were the Ten Commandments, the Aaron's rod, and manna were put in the ark. And then it says, I will meet you there and talk with you. That's really important, because where does God talk with us? He talks with us here, right? It's not audibly, it's not outside, it's an inside job. And then another place in Exodus 30, you shall put the altar in front of the veil, and from there I will meet you, right? So he is declaring, God is declaring that he is meeting with us there and speaking to us. And then again, number 7, it repeats that. From between the two cherub, so he spoke to him. That's where he speaks with us, is right here. As I've been doing each week, I've been also looking at the Hebrew language. And the Hebrew letters all have symbols that give more meaning to a given word. And in this case, when we take the word ark's cover, it's kaporet, which is defined as or interpreted as mercy seat or atonement cover. And you'll see there's 4 Hebrew letters that comprise that. And those pictures that represent those Hebrew letters are to cover and opening, most important, join two things. And what we found with the ark last week when we covered this, each of the words talked about joining two things. And it's basically joining heaven and earth. It's joining man with God. We are one with God. And these Hebrew letters are giving us a different picture of what that mercy seat or the atonement cover is telling us. And it's to cover an opening that is most important to join two things. And another way to look at it too is the cherub, right? The cherub, the two cherub which are facing each other. That word cherub is in the Hebrew word cherub, and you'll see there's 4 letters on that one. And this one is to cover, most important, join two things, which are the same letters and the same meaning of the previous word, but then this was key, inside the house or the body. So the covering is covering inside the house. That's us. We are the house. We are the body of Christ, of God. And that's who we are, and that's who you are. And this is the meeting place of God. All right. So before I kind of take a turn, I'm going to be sharing a little bit of details that are inside of us. But before we do that, for those that are online, any questions up to this point?
Not yet.
All right. All right. Good. So now let's look at. Oh, that's right. I have one more slide. This is introducing the cherubim, and it's interesting when science now calls our mind the cerebrum. I'm not sure if you've heard that term before, but it's the cerebrum is basically a scientific definition for our brain. And notice that there is a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere. And what they're doing is this cerebrum is protecting some very vital glands within us. And I'll be describing that in just a moment. But what I'm trying to do is connect, again, the tabernacle and all of these pieces of furniture all are symbols. They represent who we are, right? It's taking the spiritual and making it physical. Just like God, when he gave instructions to Moses how to build this tabernacle, he gave them as symbols that represent who we are. So again, the cerebrum, which is the two lobes of our brain, can also be interpreted as cherubim, two sides. There's a left and a right side. And then just to add a little bit more, so if you put your fingers on the side of your forehead, you'll see there's two little soft spots there. And we call that our temples, right? Not sure if you've heard that term before, but these are our temples. And where is God's temple? It's right here. All right, so now I'm going to get kind of technical. Again, this is a symbol of you. There is a bone within our skulls underneath the cerebrum, which is called the sphenoid bone. And this sphenoid bone, when you look at it and analyze it, there's actually wings that cover a very important piece inside of where this bone lays, which is inside our head. The sphenoid bone is a complex butterfly-shaped bone located at the base of the skull. It has several important functions. It maintains the structural integrity and function of the skull while facilitating the transmission of nerves and blood vessels essential for sensory and motor functions. The sphenoid bone acts as a central keystone bone of the skull, connecting with multiple other bones to provide stability, structure to the cranium. Okay, so what I'm suggesting, what I'm what I'm what I believe is that the sphenoid bone is our mercy seat. And what's interesting is that this sphenoid bone, if you'll notice, there's these different colors, right? There's the lesser wing, and then there's a greater wing. So there's actually a set of wings that are part of this structure. And you can see the picture over on the left. You can see it. It looks like wings, right? That's the sphenoid bone. Now, let's dig a little deeper. The sphenoid bone not only supports the overall structure of the skull, but it also plays a pivotal role in protecting the pituitary gland, a central organ of endocrine system. The protection is critical for maintaining the gland's function and ensuring proper hormonal regulation throughout the body. All right, so I hear you saying, all right, Doug, this is really strange. What are you talking about? The pituitary gland. Let's look at the pituitary gland because that's what this bone is protecting. It's protecting this critical gland called the pituitary gland, which is the most important gland in the human body, primarily because its role of the master gland in the endocrine system. However, it works in close coordination with other glands, particularly the hypothalamus, which also plays a critical role, regulatory role. Where's the location of this pituitary gland? It's right there. And notice, and I'm getting chills just looking at this again, is there's a little box there that holds this very important, the most important gland within our body called the pituitary gland. And that's where it rests. And these wings are protecting, looking over, watching that pituitary gland. Now, what is the endocrine system? Is a network of glands and organs, because this is what it's protecting. This is what this sphenoid bone is protecting. The endocrine system is a network of glands and organs that produce, store, and secrete hormones. These hormones act as chemical messengers traveling throughout the bloodstream, up and down, to regulate and coordinate various bodily functions. The endocrine system works closely with the nervous system to maintain homeostasis, the body's internal balance. Okay, so you have the sphenoid bone that's protecting the pituitary gland, that's protecting the endocrine system, which provides us homeostasis. Well, what's homeostasis? Homeostasis is the process by which the body maintains a stable internal environment despite changes in external conditions. And by the way, I'm not making this up, right? These aren't my words. I actually went ChatGPT, if you will, and asked questions. What's the homeostasis? What's the endoc? And these are the answers. And again, this is a perfect picture, an illustration of who we are. So it stabilizes the internal environment despite changes in external conditions. It is essential for ensuring that the body's physiological systems function optimally, enabling survival and health. That's all being protected by this pituitary gland inside the sphenoid bone. All right. So what's the psychological system? Collectively ensure survival by maintaining homeostasis, adapting to challenges, and supporting life processes. Disruption in one system often affects others, emphasizing the interconnected nature of the human body. All right. So I know I kind of geeked out on this, but this is a perfect picture of us. God has established a system within our mind, which is the Holy of Holies. And the picture is the mercy seat, which is the cherub, which are protecting the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is the pituitary gland, and it's protecting it. And it is the most important gland within the doctrine system, which provides homeostasis, which gives us internal environment, maintain stability within us so that we can support life and adapting to challenges. That's how important this is, and that's how important, this is how God has made us. Pretty amazing. All right, but it gets better. The symbolic connections between the ark and the sphenoid bone. So the Ark of the Covenant is also called the seat of God's presence. Just as the mercy seat is the focal point of God's presence, the pituitary gland in its seat, right? Remember that box, serves as the control center for the body's endocrine system, coordinating life-sustaining functions. The wings of the cherub and the sphenoid bone wings stretch over the mercy seat as protectors of the divine presence. Similarly, the wings of the sphenoid bone seem to guard the pituitary gland, a structure essential to life. The contents of the ark and the pituitary symbolism. These are all symbols. The Ten Commandments represents God's law, which symbolizes the body's fundamental instructions as the pituitary gland governs key processes in the body, right? So it's not the law, the Ten Commandments, do this and don't do that. It's a demonstration or an illustration of the body functions and telling the body what to do this and do that, create these chemicals, don't create those chemicals. So it's giving us homeostasis. So the law isn't something that's right and wrong. It's just how we balance it. It's a balance. I guess that would be the key word there. Manna, which is inside the ark. The manna is God's provision. This represents the pituitary's role in sustaining life through growth hormone and metabolic regulation. And then Aaron's rod, which is divine authority in life, reflects the pituitary gland's influence over reproduction and life-giving processes. All right, so the pituitary gland is very important, and it is being protected by the sphenoid bone, which is a representation of the mercy seat. And then the last one, design as a reflection of God. In biblical theology, humans are made in the image of God. The intricate design of the human body, particularly structures like the sphenoid bone and pituitary gland, could be seen as physical manifestations of divine creativity and purpose. Do you see how beautifully and wonderfully we are made? And this is all happening within us. We can't see any of this, right? Lately we can because of technologies, but it's in the Holy of Holies, right? It's here. It's behind that curtain, which has been split. And now, if you will, the pituitary gland and being whole and complete, that's who we are. And then deeper symbolic reflection, the ark's location. The Holy of Holies in the tabernacle was the most sacred space where God's presence dwelled. Similarly, the pituitary gland is located in the brain, a structure often regarded as central to human consciousness and the seat of thought, decision-making, and life. And then finally, the unity of creation, the interconnected between the biblical ark and the anatomical sphenoid bone could symbolize how spiritual truths are mirrored in the physical world, reflecting the unity of God's creation, right? So I kind of put these side by side so that you could see the two. Um, the angel's wings, the cherubim, are protecting the ark and they're protecting the pituitary gland. And then just kind of icing on the cake, if you remember when Jesus was crucified, he was crucified with two thieves, one on the right, one on the left, and Jesus Christ was in the middle. And that is the point of the center of all of this, right? Because the meeting place of God was in the center between the two cherubs, and that's where Jesus was crucified, in the midst of, in between, in the middle, which is the sphenoid bone, which is the pituitary gland, which is the mercy seat, which is the Ark of the Covenant. See how beautifully all of this comes together. Now, the mercy seat and altar of incense, God's favorite place to talk. So in Exodus 25, I will meet you there and talk with you. That's the mercy seat. And then the altar of incense, which is just outside the curtain, which is our throat chakra, right? Remember, this is the crown chakra, the throat chakra. This is where God will meet you there, but he doesn't talk, which is interesting. So the altar of incense, it just says, I will meet you there. So God is listening. And then in the mercy seat, he's not only going to meet us, but he's also going to talk with us. So these are God's favorite places to be. And this is you. The mercy seat, which is the crown chakra, where God talks, and the altar of incense, which is the throat chakra, God listens. And I love these two pictures because it just demonstrates, it shows us the energy, the frequency, the vibration of God talking to us and listening to us. Next week, we're going to be kind of wrapping all of this up. I'm going to call it the walk through the temple, and we're going to go through each pieces of furniture again and just make sure that we understand how we've been created. Please reach out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We've got an extensive YouTube channel, so please check us out there. And then, of course, you can always go to our website. There's a QR code, or you can email me at doug@the100foldjourney.com. That's it for today. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.